very brief talk and present some new varieties on Gupta coinage. As many of you know, that like this is a part and parcel of my subject. So over the last few months, I had been consciously trying to bring out some new aspects into Gupta coinage, as I always did, and I could find something interesting in a few coins, which I'm going to present down today. So, like, I would like to thank at the outset to Mr. Rishabh Jain, who had provided me a beautiful picture from a private collection in Bangladesh on a lion slayer type. Like, as we all know that like the lion slayer type coins. Sorry if I have pointer, please.
Pointer? Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. How do you navigate? Sorry.
Slideshow.
This is a different format.
So I can get back to the beginning and then like
Okay.
So like we all know about the lion slayer coins, and like as we see many of them, like this was a partial innovation, I would say a partial innovation by Chandragupta II, and this was based upon the motive of an issue of tiger slayer type by his father Samudragupta, probably on some conquest on the eastern part of the country where the tiger was an abode. So this variety, I would say, is to depict in commemoration of the hunting ability of the king, to probably express the unmatched prowess to overrule the power of the lion. And like as we had seen in the slides and in these pictures, like we see a much dynamic kind of a motive on this coin, where it's not static, like unlike the previous dynastic coins, the coins of Kushan, the king the king offering oblations on an altar. So like here, it is very much captured in an action, like the king in a hunting motive, where he's trying to combat a lion into different postures. We also see from the different varieties available from the different coin, like I'm not going into a detailed classification of the lion slayer types going by the recent books, but we see the king in different postures, like bent at the waist, with the like the position of the legs in a retracted, in an adduction mode in different types, and also trampling on lion, as we see in many lion trampler types. So like what we understand, like it was a very skillful delineation of the die cutters to give it a much physical aspect, because we all know that like while the king was trying to draw the bow with an arrow, like he had to draw some kinetic energy to, and for that like he had to bend his torso from the waist, and that was very skillfully captured in these coins. So we see a lot of variations. So what we discussed today is a new variety of coin of Chandragupta. This was found in one of the private collection of Bangladesh. This was not noted before. Like much like an issue, but with the reverse motif of Kumaragupta, but this depicts the king shooting the lion to the left, and as if the lion is trying to retract away, like in fear, with a bend in the left paw, and the king is leaning in front. These are all the new aspects, and he has in addition a sword dangling at his waist. So this was one point which is still not being going through texts and different books, like not into records. So I thought of capturing it as a new variety of lion slayer. The reverse of this depicts goddess Lakshmi sitting on a lion, much like in other coins, dropping coins from her right hand, and of course with the legend Shingla Vikrama, like marking it to be an issue of Chandragupta II. So this was definitely a very nice piece, like I thought of capturing and presenting it down here. The next variety was a new variety of chapter type of Kumaragupta. Well, I call it a new variety because there are new features noted on this coin. We all know that the Chatra type coins were, of course, a total innovation by Chandragupta II. This variety shows, in addition to the royal figure of the king and the attendant to his back, who was holding a parasol or the Chatra. And this variety was probably with an idea to depict the king as a unified ruler, or the Chhatradhikara was mentioned in many in the text by Kalidas as like the king with the supreme power to be the beholder of a parasol. So the obverse of this coin depicts the king in a very royal posture, offering oblations on an altar, much like the early standard types. But in addition, he has the attendant holding a parasol, and the reverse would capture Goddess Lakshmi. As we all know, the Goddess Lakshmi in a standing posture. Sometimes she is facing to the front in some varieties, like over here. I've given a coin from my collection, and she's got a lotus, a long stalk lotus in her left hand, and a pasa in her right hand, with Vikramaditya as the legend coming with that. So the coin in discussion today is a new variety of Kumaragupta Chatra type. Just coming to the coin before that, we all know that there were a few coins, they're quite rare. From one specimen was from the Bana board, where we have seen Kumaragupta in bare-bodied, he was trying to imitate, or he was trying to copy very much the coin of his father, Chandragupta II, but in a bare body, where he doesn't have a depiction of the sword at the waist, and much like the clear depiction of offering oblations in other pieces or offering oblations on the fire altar, we now come to a new variety, a total new variety, which is in the collection of Mr. Ranvijay Singh from India. So this is one coin, pretty interesting. We find in place of an altar, there's a peacock, much like the reverse of the horseman types, where Lakshmi is seen like she's feeding the peacocks with grapes or grains. So here we see Kumaragupta in the much same posture, but here he has an addition of the sword to the waist. The attendant holding a parasol, much like the other varieties. And here, he's feeding a peacock with grapes. And the backdrop we see for the first time, the Garuda standard, which does not come in any of the varieties. So this is a very nice observation, we thought to go and capture it down as a new variety. The reverse, of course, there is a deity, Goddess Lakshmi, standing to the front. It's the legends are quite blurred, so it's difficult to read, assuming to be Mahendraditya, if I have to take as Vikramaditya to be the legend on his father's issues. And in the left field, although it is not clear, it has some sort of a resemblance of goddess holding a pass, though blurred. So this was a total new variety issued by Kumaragupta first. Sorry. The next coin, a coin which was which is listed in the British Museum catalogue and also in the recent books, but we don't have a possible explanation of what this symbol might imply in front of the face. Well, I would also love to learn from the learned audience here. I have come across various opinions about what this possible symbol could be. As we observe on the coins of Chandragupta III, there are occurrence of a chakra and a crescent, and sometimes a fire altar. But this is a totally different symbol, which someone has coined as a Karak symbol, which is a holy Hindu symbol, which is applied at the time of a matrimonial alliance or a marriage. So possibly this was a later issue, and what could imply this symbol to come on Kumaragupta III's coin is very, very not very common.
Sorry, what did you call it?
A Karak symbol. That's what I have received as through many comments, that this is a Karak symbol which is there, which is normally drawn on the walls at the time of performing a marriage ceremony in Hindus, especially in the eastern part of India, in Bengal and in Assam. And it could have a possible correlation because most of the later Gupta rule was to confine towards the eastern part of India. So whether this was something to do with the matrimonial alliance or a marriage ceremony, anything to do that, leaves a big question. The fourth coin is a discus coin in one of the recent books, like again in the collection of Mr. Ranvijay Singh. But this coin was described as a coin of Kumar Gupta first, which is obvious. It is Kumar Gupta first. It has a legend with Mahendra Gupta in the reverse, but was read as Yuvaraj Putra Kumar Gupta, which I am totally not into agreement. Like there are certain logics behind this, which I am going to say. It reads Raja Putra, and the possible alliteration of Kumar Gupta, it ends with a Gupta somewhere over here, so it has to be Kumar Gupta. But whether the occurrence of Yuvaraj Putra is there is a big question. The theory goes as like, if I have to assume that the rule of Chandragupta II was from 380 AD and like he ruled until 415 for about 35 years, and this rule was preceded by Kumar Gupta II. So Yuvraj Putra is like the son of Yuvraj. So it has to be issued, like logically it has to be issued by the rule of Samudragupta. Definitely no archetypes of this types would have been issued at that time. Secondly, the weight of the coin is about 8.23 grams. So we know that like the average weight of the coins of Samudragupta, the early types were quite below 8 grams, like they maintained 7.8 and onwards, below 8. So it is definitely not an issue of Yuvraj Putra, like being the legend over there. So it could be possibly be Raj Putra, a possible placement of Kumar Gupta or the Gupta princes who were appointed in Vidisha as their governors or royal patrons, and whether they had the possibility of issuing coins is a big question as well. But the discussion over here is whether this is Yuvraj Putra. I am not into a total agreement. This definitely reads Raj Putra, going by the Brahmin legend, and has some special connection of placement of a prince in a special province and allowing him to strike coins in that area. So this was a brief presentation from my part. Like I could capture about 4 coins, and I thought of presenting these coins in today's forum. Thank you very much for appreciating it.